What do girls want? What do girls need? What do girls want? What do girls need? A guy who'll be there for her. What a girl wants, what a girl wants, what a girl needs. What do women want? Women want a man who can. No. Welcome back to my channel. It's JusMeLah, and in today's video, I am reacting to Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 14. In this episode, we start off with Eric and Virginia again. Why do they always start with them? Okay, so questions. Why hasn't Eric met with Virginia's family or met with any of her family? Well, the previous episode, he did meet with his sister, but clearly she's making this point that I keep in touch with your mother, with your father, with your sister, your brother, your auntie, and your uncle, and you have yet to reach out to my dad, which that means a lot to me. You don't call my mother X, Y, and Z. I said, does he even care about her? I said he also talks a terrible talk, saying all that ish about how he wants to have her father and her brother's phone number, but you don't have it. It's been 4 weeks and you don't have their phone number, but she's been calling your family, and you know she's been calling your family. So you've had constant reminders to get in touch with her family, yet you haven't done it because you don't care. Bree and Vincent. When Bree said she followed the money and went with engineering, I said that's real. I mean, hello, life costs money. It was sad to hear that Bree felt insecure about her skin. It just is what it is. This is the world we live in. I also was here for her testimony about how dance helped to build her confidence. And, you know, Bree being the boss engineer that she is today is because of the dancing that she was enrolled in that gave her that confidence. I think that's why it's so important to expose your child to different things so that you can find out what your child is good at. Because once your child is good at something, they will feel good about themselves. You feel empowered when you know you're good at something. It gives you a confidence. And when you're faced with challenges within that area that you're good in and you rise and overcome those challenges, it just makes you feel even more powerful. Good job to Bree's mother and everybody else. Oh, I thought it was funny that Vincent was getting upset about having to wait for children. I'm like, you all just met. Like, give it 2 or 3 years. But even in 2 or 3 years, I feel like, how old are they? Are they 30 yet? I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Like, he's acting like they've known each other for 5, 6 years and he's still waiting on her to pop out a baby. It's like, y'all just met. You could wait 2 years to have a child. Clara and Ryan, I said Clara is suffering. I thought it was interesting that Clara's mother spoke to Ryan and said that it's going to be important to Clara that her children have a church foundation. I said, so now we're speaking for Clara? Like, how do you know that that's something that she's going to want? Especially when she's expressed clearly that that's not something that she wants. I think her mother is disillusioned and is not aware about how the way Clara was raised has impacted her negatively. Or maybe not even negatively, but that she was not in agreement with the way in which she was raised. And so she wants to do something completely opposite for her children. And then Ryan feeling reassured by her mother that she said that. I was just like, we're going to see later on that her mother is completely disconnected from the reality of Clara's experience being raised in their ultra Christian household. Then we get to Eric and Virginia, and I said Eric's full of, I think he's on the phone with her father at this point. He's saying he hasn't called because he's been busy. And I'm just like, that man is listening to you, looking at you like, you just want my daughter, okay? You just want to be all over, do whatever to my daughter, and you have no regard for me, her family, or anyone else, because if you did, you would have contacted us. But the father was like, oh no, I get it. I understand. This first few weeks are very important. They're instrumental in your relationship, and you and her need to focus on one another and build that bond and build that relationship. And I was like, oh wow, okay. But then the dad came back and checked Eric's ass, because I feel like it's arrogant for you to feel like you could speak to somebody else's parent and belittle their child to them or critique their child to them, especially when this is your first time calling me. So it's your first time calling me. You already gave me the little excuse about, oh, you know, I've been trying to focus on her. So I let that slide. And then you got comfortable and felt like you could get away with telling me that my daughter doesn't understand marriage and she needs to bend to your idea of it. And I was glad her father was like, all marriages do not look the same, and many good marriages look different ways, okay? Eric took it too far at that moment, like pipe down. So then we get to Haley and Jacob when they went to the batting cage, and Jacob said he didn't need a helmet, and I was like, give me a helmet. I definitely fell and hit my head skiing, and I wish I had on a helmet, okay? But whatever, that's personal. Anyway, I thought it was funny that Jacob kept missing all of his swings. I then laughed at the fact that Haley does not like his style. I'm just like, sis, you have to comment on what he's wearing every single time. We get it. You think he dresses just like weirdly, but I just feel like she makes it very obvious that it's a point of contention for her because she's always bringing it up. And at this point, it's like, it's not like you're giving him other positive reinforcement that would balance out the constant judgment, because that's what it is. She's very judgy, it's judgmental, and it's annoying. It's like you don't even have a balance. You're just always picking at him. Like, everything is a problem. You look at him and you're just like, oh, you're disgusting. I just feel like, relax a little bit. She's being very immature. I thought him calling her a diva for her 4-year-old's tactics was also just unnecessary. I just feel like certain things are not going to give you certain reactions. Like, if you want to have a pleasant experience, critiquing and being judgmental of someone is not going to get you there. So just mind your mouth. They have the same problem. Then we get to Bree and Vincent, and I said, yo, Bree is mad stubborn with this sleep thing. I thought she was very stubborn. Like, sis, you can't budge. Like, you can't see that what you're proposing is not a compromise. Your compromise is that Vincent should change, and not that you should back off and let the man sleep because he's tired. And so what if he's on his phone all the time? Like, I get it. Yes, people, we need to disconnect from our devices. I'm trying to get disconnected from my device all the time. But to say to him that, well, you're on your phone. First of all, it feels like you're blasting him, but whatever. You're on your phone for an hour at night. You could put your phone down and use that hour to sleep. It's like, he could, but he chooses not to. And if this is the only way he knows how to decompress right now, let him do it, unless you have another suggestion that isn't simply put your phone down. I don't know. I just feel like it just felt very controlling. It felt very bossy. It felt almost like she just has too much pride in certain areas about certain things. Like, when she wants something done in a particular way, she cannot see anyone else's way of doing that same thing. I also had a question about Dr. Pepper bringing up adoption. I was just like, is that her place to put him on the spot like that and ask him this question about adoption? It just felt like that wasn't something that Bree brought up, nor was it a conversation that they've previously had. And I felt like it almost put him in a position to look like the bad guy. And I feel that way only because it seemed to me from the previous episode, and maybe a little bit in this episode, that Vincent didn't truly understand the magnitude of Bree's health condition, and so he couldn't completely be compassionate towards her situation. And so we already have him being like, okay, people get scared, like, you can do this, your body can do this, not being sensitive really or compassionate or supportive of what's really going on with her. And then Dr. Pepper saying, so if her health was at risk, would you adopt? I just feel like she was putting him on the spot. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, but that did give me a little bit of pause. Eric and Virginia. I said Eric does not even look like he could play ball. I didn't know that Virginia was this basketball star hooping in high school, elementary school, middle school. I'm like, oh wow, sis, you really were a whole basketball player. And I felt like Eric being impressed that Virginia could play basketball was not even condescending, but maybe. But I just felt like, what makes you think that this woman who played basketball her entire life would not be able to hoop? Like, the fact that he was, it's not even that he was impressed, because I feel like he was impressed, but I don't feel like he was impressed and like, yo, my chick really cool hoop. Like, it was more like, good job, you got that shot. Like, he expected her not to get it. I don't know. I didn't like that. But I'm like, so you expected less from her? But she's a whole basketball player. Oh, because she's a woman, you didn't expect her to be able to make the shots. Anyway, I'll let it go. I also said that Eric never really looks like he's paying attention. I don't know if it's just awkward. Sometimes, you know, it can be awkward to just look someone in their eyes the entire time that they're speaking to you without averting your gaze. And, you know, so I get that. But oftentimes when she's talking, he seems disinterested. And so I'm not sure if he really is just like checking out and thinking about other things, or if he's just trying not to be awkward by constantly looking at her. But yeah, it seems like he's not paying attention, and that when he does give her some attention, that is like he's patronizing her with his facial expressions and things. I also said, does he do drugs? And his eyes are always tired looking and low. And it's hard because when we were first introduced to him, they got married and then they were in Vegas, and Virginia was drinking all the time, and he felt pressured to drink all the time with her, or wanted to, you know, just enjoy the moment. And so he entertained the drinking. And so we saw him looking like he couldn't handle his liquor, but he still looks like that. But it doesn't seem like he's drinking as often, or at least they're not showing that to us. So then I'm like, what else is going on? Are you doing some other substances why you constantly look like that? Jacob and Haley, I said yes to put, spicing things up a little bit. Again, I said she's so judgmental about his clothes. And I said she's just going to have to ignore some of his quirky stuff if she wants this to work. Like, nobody is perfect. Even the perfect couple is not perfect. They're perfect because they accept each other for who one another is, and they are kind and pour into one another and have fun and all of these other wonderful things. But it's not because they are without flaws. We're all humans. We just are perfectly imperfect. And so I just feel like, Haley, girl, get over it. Stop constantly commenting on it. I just feel like you already told that man he ugly, and now you constantly telling him he dressed ugly too. Clara and Ryan, I said Clara looks cute. It's her at her parents' house, and Ryan is also there with her, and I thought she looked so cute in her outfit. And this was the moment, connecting it back to Clara's mother being disconnected from how Clara viewed her upbringing. This was the moment where it was like, okay, you really have no idea what your daughter went through. So Clara starts bringing up how it was so strict, how she couldn't listen to Usher's confessions, and when she did manage to get a burned copy of the CD, when her mother found it, her mother broke the CD. She couldn't use MySpace, and the mother was like, oh really? I don't remember that happened. And I'm like, right, that's why you could say to Ryan that it's going to be important to Clara that her children have that church foundation. It's like, no, it's not going to be important to her that they have that, because her experience with it was so just restrictive. Okay, then we get back to Haley and Jacob, and I said Jacob doesn't go deep, and I said that's why these women cannot connect with these men. Okay, so that's where we get into my question, which is, what do women want? And I'm telling you, women want their men to be vulnerable with them, okay? They want them to show emotion, express emotion. No, that doesn't mean you need to be crying all the time, but if you cry, that is also okay. Jacob does not go deep. He is not open with Haley. He's not vulnerable. How do you expect someone to connect with you deeply and to form a like deeply seated bond if you don't open up to them? You have to open up so that we can connect. And I feel like Jacob does not get that. Neither does Ryan. The only happy woman in this entire group of couples is Brianna. And why is Brianna happy? Because Vincent is an expressive and emotional and sensitive man. I mean, that's all there is to say. She is the only woman who is happy in her relationship a majority of the time. Yes, they have their bumps in the road because he's always trying to impress her and she's controlling. But generally speaking, that love and romance and affection is present. And that's what women like. It's what women need, and men need to get with the program. I'm telling you, I'm speaking facts, okay? There's nobody else who is satisfied like Brianna. And it's because her man Vincent is doing the right thing. Fellas, take notes. Let's move on. Now we get into this bracelet issue. This was news to me. I never heard of this before. Okay, so she never wore the bracelet that he bought for her. I'm like, damn. Like, she didn't even think to wear it, just like to say thank you. Like, even if you didn't really love it or like it, you could have worn it just to say thank you for thinking of me. Like, he didn't have to get you this gift. I don't know, I thought that was weird. And I also said she was tit for tat for then comparing the hat to the bracelet. It's like, yes, you could compare it, but his point is you don't even have it here. So it's not even an option for you because you didn't even bring it. He said, no, I haven't worn your hat as yet, but I have it with me. I didn't pack it up and put it in the basement in my house. You gave the gift to your mother, and she continues to like make excuses. Like, I gave it to her because it's like, sis, you didn't have a suitcase? You didn't have a bag? Like, you have all your other jewelry with you. Why couldn't you have that bracelet with you? I don't know. The fact that she thought it was a necklace when it really was a bracelet. Like, come on, Haley. You just looking all types of wrong right now, okay? Now Clara and Ryan. I said Clara looks so cute with the ribbon in her hair. And I said it was interesting how Clara is now starting to use Ryan's language. Now she's saying she doesn't want to feel like they're just checking a box. I said, oh, wow, look at that. You've been indoctrinated. Ryan has successfully converted her. Vincent and Brianna. Vincent took Brianna to a Dominican store. And I said, oh, Vincent talking about not getting that extra love as a child and not having a father figure, and how that's something that he really longed for. And it was really just a void for him. I just felt for him. It's sad and unfortunate. Eric and Virginia. I said Eric's sister-in-law is totally judging Virginia about not putting Eric in that #1 spot. And see, the thing is, I feel like they both need to like compromise. In this is something that I said early on. Eric cannot expect that Virginia is just going to cancel her plans because he wants to spend time with her. You need to make plans to be with her. And Virginia, I mean, I don't know if I feel like her going out all the time when he's away is a bad thing. I'm trying to think about it. Would I feel some type of way if my guy was going out all the time? I mean, maybe. I guess you could start to like wonder, why do you need to be out and socialize with people so much? But she's socializing with her friends, so it's not like she's just like going to the club to chill. She's hanging out with her friends and they hang out at bars. I just don't think he trusts Virginia. He knows that she drinks a lot. He knows that she already has a tendency to black out and then to sleep on her male friends' couches. I mean, I could understand him being like, I don't trust you to conduct yourself in an appropriate way when I'm not here to watch over you. I mean, I feel like that's a valid position to have. I feel like they both can compromise some. Like, sis, why can't you be responsible and get home? That goes back to what Dr. Pepper is saying about her problem, her issue with drinking. The fact that you feel like passing out is an option, therefore you have to stay at your friend's house. Stop passing out. Like, stop drinking to the point where you can't then get yourself home. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think Virginia is wrong in this situation. You're wrong. You're dead wrong. You want to pass out on your friends' couches. Maybe you should just stop passing out. Maybe you should stop drinking. Maybe you should drink less, and you all wouldn't have this argument. Because the reality is, if you weren't drinking, y'all wouldn't be having this conversation about you passing out on your guys' friends' couches and having to spend the night. I mean, it just is what it is, okay? And then we go to Jacob and Haley. I said Haley is an ex. Okay, in regards to the bracelet. I said she's a donkey. I said she seems unapologetic. I feel like she has no case with this bracelet. Eric and Virginia, so he expresses himself in a problematic way, and she is just like just out of her mind as it relates to the spending the nights out, etc. Like, he does need to be more open to them designing their marriage to be something that they both want it to be versus it being what they've seen it be for other people or what they have been told it should be. But also she needs to compromise. Like, it's both of y'all. I would say he's more problematic because he is abusive in his language, but you still need to compromise here. Clara and Ryan, Clara said so much in her letter. The thing that stood out to me was when she said, you don't have to be perfect to be loved. And that stood out to me because it felt like that's the exact situation she's in currently. Clara must not feel confident at all in this situation because it seems to me that Ryan is not loving her in the way that she needs to be loved. She is just suffering. That's dramatic, but she really is. I think she is suffering. She's sad. She doesn't look upbeat and lively the same way she was earlier on in the season. I don't know if Ryan is capable of being more emotional. His letter was just very, I don't even want to say that it was surfacey. It had a good message, but he didn't go deep. He didn't really get vulnerable, and I find that the men typically don't when they do this exercise. And again, it goes back to, what do women want? And they want a man who can express himself. That is attractive. It's not a turn off, okay? You have emotions too, and it doesn't take away from your masculinity. It's just a part of who you are. The same way women aren't just dainty because they're women. No, women are strong and powerful, and men are also emotional. We both have it. Men need to express it, and I just feel like in general they would have better relationships, more meaningful connections if they really cultivated and nurtured that side of themselves. All right, I'm gonna stop talking about Clara and Ryan and what women want. I think I've made my point. Vincent is the prototype in that area, in that aspect, okay? Then we leave off with Jacob and Haley, and I said, gross, Haley, to get your mother involved in Jacob's like shenanigans. I just felt like it was disgusting to do. That's your husband. This is your marriage, and you are involving your mother. How was he ever supposed to bounce back from that? And your mother is going into critiquing him. Like, you all have had several conversations about him. I think it's so inappropriate. I just feel like it's very disrespectful. And even if you all, have not fully clicked and all of these things, I get it. You do need an outlet. You do need to talk about things. But to not understand why Jacob would feel some type of way is just, I feel, dishonest. And she's not being accountable for her actions. She's not caring about his feelings. And for her to be, I understand her being upset about him giving her the hat back. But it's also like, sis, you might as well give him the bracelet back. You don't have it in your possession. You've never worn it. I think he was childish. I shook my head at him doing that. But again, he's trying to make a point that I'm over this. He's showing that he's hurt by her actions. And her saying, like, strip the thing up so she wants to put it back on his desk or give it to him in person, unlike what he did, as though that makes her better than him. It's like, you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it in a slightly different way. You are not better than him for returning his gift because he returned your gift. It's just, it doesn't make sense, Anyway, that's all I have. That's it for my reaction to Married at First Sight. Season 12, episode 14. Thank you so much for watching. It's JusMeLah. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video.